Hello friends and welcome back to WSSEA as we dive into week number 2 of Overwatch 2 broadcasting. My name is Nyarko, I'm here with Hot Sauce, and we are super excited to bring to you all of the Washington State Scholastic Esports Association combat, and everything coming your way tonight is going to be something it's very close to my heart because Overwatch was one of those first games that really got me into esports, Hot Sauce, and while I've been playing a whole lot of Deadlock recently, I'm happy to be back in this arena with you.
You know, I'm guilty of the deadlock addiction myself, but we had a great week 1 last week in Overwatch. It's been a lot of fun to kind of watch some of these teams go head-to-head. Today, we're going to see Selah, the Vikings, taking on Rogers, or the Pirates, so to speak. So excited for this one. Of course, that map pool starts with a hybrid, then an escort. We'll head on to control if we happen to get there, and if we need a tiebreaker, we would see some clash. So just excited to get this one underway. I know we got a lot of great teams throughout the entire WSSEA here in this 24-25 fall season. So certainly going to be a fun time tonight with you, Narco.
For sure, and I really do think that Overwatch is almost peak high school and collegiate esports to a degree, so I'm very happy that it is part of the WSSEA pool today. And the reason for that comes down to the fact that it's a little bit more action-packed than when we're casting something like, say, League of Legends, which takes, I think, a little bit more of a mind to get into right off the bat, just because it's very different than what a lot of people conceptualize as a modern video game. But Overwatch, it is that game where everything's super dynamic, everything is super telegraphed to people, but on top of that, you also get those teamwork building exercises that come through. You need to coordinate perfectly in order to rise to the top of this esport. And so here in WSSEA, I think this is going to be one of the most skill testing and most interesting runs in leagues throughout the entire course of this fall split.
Yeah, you know, in League, sometimes it takes a little bit going. And when it comes to Overwatch, the calm before the storm is about that 10 seconds before that imaginary wall falls and they go head-to-head to it. So love to see them getting right into the action. I think my favorite thing, too, is kind of seeing what compositions that these teams go with. Because, you know, sometimes in the pro scene, you just see meta after meta after meta. Sometimes down here, you just kind of see what people are comfortable with, what they enjoy playing as well. So sometimes you get some really interesting compositions that might not be normal, but certainly works for some of these schools.
Yeah, for sure. I really do think that Overwatch is one of those games that inspires a lot of character loyalty. I know I've played nothing but Lucio for several hundred hours at this point in this game. So given that that's the case, I really think it's going to be about who pops off on their individual characters and who maybe actually does have that ability to adjust. Maybe it's going to be kind of a build around scenario where half the team says, hey, I'm not budging off of Juno. I've been having so much fun with her since she came out. Or, hey, I am a Reinhardt one trick. I'm going to be your tank. Play around that. Get something that works well with that. So a lot of different dynamics at play here, and I'm sure that that is going to be the case for both Selah and Rogers. But before we dive into the game itself, Hot Sauce, I think it is probably best that we go over and thank some of the sponsors that helps make WSSEA what it is. And I want to start off with ZOTAC. They power today's stream through incredible support, showcasing amazing talent throughout the entirety of Scholastic Esports. And we really got to appreciate ZOTAC Gaming for their unique ability to not only prop up the kinds of channels of esports that you see more commonly on Twitch and elsewhere, but also the fact that they are focusing on Scholastic Esports. High school and middle school esports is a rare thing in this day and age, and so we are very, very grateful that they're helping to empower this broadcast. To show some appreciation for ZOTAC Gaming, make sure to give them a shout out on social media. You can join their community on Discord, and don't forget, if you're posting about them, to use the hashtag #poweredbyZOTAC or ZOTAC USA when you post.
Love it, love it. And you can always type !ZOTAC in chat for more info. And of course, we want to take a moment to thank LANFest. LANFest has been phenomenal, constantly building healthy communities through gaming. There's 23 different chapters across 18 states, over 150 events a year, which is insane. So please go to LANFest.com. Check out the Washington chapters, the Inferno Land chapters, Emerald City LANFest. There's so many. And then we'd love to see you, finding an event near you.
Yeah, LANFest has so much going on, so many different fingers that they have their pies in, so many different things, and it's really incredible to see that they continue to be this bastion of esports so many years on in their tenure. So they're definitely someone that we want to continue to shout out, and they will continue to support us in kind. But here in WSSEA today, what this all comes down to is, of course, the Vikings versus the Pirates. And looking at these two rosters here, the main thing that I want to point out, Hot Sauce, is that we got quite a few players who will, I think, be shifting across the rosters throughout the course of the season. Right now, though, given that Overwatch is still in 5v5, it means that we aren't going to be seeing every single player listed for either Slamtown, which is what they're calling the Vikings right now, or Rogers Pirates. So I guess we're going to see now, as we are getting into the lobby, who exactly is jamming for either side here, and doing some cross-referencing. Who's on which team? It looks like it's going to be SHS Vikings on red and Rogers Pirates on blue.
Yeah, I'm certainly interested to see what comps they go with. And, I kind of maybe get some guff for this, but I am a fan of the 5v5 Overwatch, so, I know a lot of the old heads kind of enjoy that 6v6, having that extra tank there as well. But I've kind of liked the wrench that it's thrown into the mix here. It does hybrid. I think we might be looking at Hollywood. I'm not entirely sure. I know they do a coin flip, so I'm not sure if the map has completely been decided, but it does appear that we might be on Hollywood.
That's definitely what's being hovered right now. Looks like we're even going to be getting that Halloween theming. It's been a while since I've actually played Overwatch in October. It's around this time every single year that I get sick of hard losing and being perma-stuck in gold so that I play something else. So it's good to be back during this time where you have Junkenstein's Revenge and all of these other cool events going on within the game. But I do like Hollywood quite a bit out of the hybrid map pools. I think it may be my favorite right now, although New York certainly is also a lot of fun. One thing to note with Hollywood is the really crazy verticality that we're getting on that second point. If we get the capture going and we get to the payload part of the map, whoever's on defending side, Hot Sauce has the ability to really take to the skies, take to the top of these buildings, and try to pick off some straggling members. And so having people that either could fluidly move up and down this vertical map structure is something that can be important. But also, if we're going to Paraiso, well, you still have that same dynamic actually when you go to that second point, moving behind, trying to escort that parade float.
Yeah, those look like maybe we're gonna swap over to Paraiso. So again, I mean, you have some longer sight lines. You can work with the snipes. I know Junkrat has been pretty popular. For me, I'm kind of interested in see what tanks they go with. I know they're trying to maybe combat Diva a little bit with these recent Orisa buffs and such as well. So I know Orisa has been a staple for a lot of these teams as well. And so, not as many have sprinkled in Juno as I would have imagined. I think some still comfortable on that Lucio, even though Juno seems to be slightly better at the moment per se. But again, that's where we kind of talk about those comfortability picks and maybe something that they've played with for a long time now.
Well, we are in fact going to Paraiso here for game number 1 here in week number 2 of Overwatch between Selah High School Vikings and Roger High School Pirates. I do hope that we see something like a ball come out here actually for a tank Hot Sauce. I know that's definitely one that requires a little bit more specialization, but we also talked about how at this level of play, in many cases, you see people just going to their comfort characters. So if someone has the hamster, they have a lot of fun on this map being able to use what's called the Northwest Passage as a way to cheese across that big void that you see right in front of us with this camera hover. And by doing so, with that kind of mobility that you're given, you can attack from basically any angle. It's a very cool thing to see.
I'm not a fan of the ball, and it's probably because I'm not very good with the ball, and they often mess me up. But it doesn't look like we're going to see that just today. It looks like Ramatra on the side of things. We do have a Juno over there as well. Reinhardt, a pretty brawly comp here on the side of, is it the Pirates in red? Is that correct?
I believe that it is, in fact, the Pirates in red. Let me see here. Nope, we got Velcon for SHS Vikings, so it looks like it is going to be a little bit flopped here from what we see on our screen. So it's going to be Vikings on red, Pirates on blue.
Thank you for the clarification. We appreciate you. As we get ready here, we can see him just breaking out those barriers for those nice clear shots. Just a few seconds here now before that wall falls, and of course they're going to have to work behind this Reinhardt shield, especially this first push here. We see a lot of teams, some teams kind of get cheat a little far forward, but I feel like it's not necessary. They have that longer spawn walk back when you stay closer to that point, and that's kind of what we're seeing here.
I do like this call. It's a lot of patience coming out of the Vikings here. If you play on that first bridge up there, it's so easy for your entire team to collapse in an instant, and then it's very difficult for them to actually retreat to their current positions, which means that in many cases, while you can do a lot to just completely stonewall a team, as soon as you mess up one fight, and it could just be over on this first point. So given that that's the case, Pirates are going to play pretty far back here. That being said, Zeb already being picked off means that some of the range that they want to play with here is going to be off the table. Meanwhile, Ru is able to bring that firepower back in spades for Vikings, jumping off that Widowmaker.
and we can see him peppering in shots now. The Genji from behind is going to be able to find one on the Karma. Ragu got the snipe there on the Juno as well, and with those 2 early picks here, I feel like they need to kind of regroup and find some time, but onto the point now, 4 of them. They should be able to capture this payload here.
Well, sometimes even if you do play back your hot sauce, you will still end up collapsing. Great stuff out of the Vikings to speed run this first point. Love their coordination, love their play. One dynamic to look for here is what we're seeing out of the supports. We have Johnny Yakuza, locking up my favorite, the Lucio here, but it's a Juno for either side now so far. It looks like Sane's been positioning slightly better as we are constantly seeing pickoffs befall the Pirates. Right now, it is Zev down again, able to recover and come back up, and now everybody taken to these high vantage points like I was talking about. This could be the way that blue team is able to reverse their fortune.
I think the problem is that Ramatra is up there as well, though, and there's really nobody kind of blocking this damage in the front line. Reinhardt just kind of having a free will to walk forward, and oh my god, this Genji is absolutely popping off. Troll will finally take out Reinhardt, and without the tank, we could see a little bit of success here from the Pirates.
That being said, Lily Sorix already dead means that that is going to be a lot less sustained available on the push. Karma playing the Baptiste here can easily get harried if someone finds access into the backline, and Velcon has proven time and time again that they are that man, they are that assassin. Now we do see Reinhardt straight through the choke point, and unfortunately Ramatra without the big form cannot punch right back, so that's 3 dead now, and so the Vikings will continue their push. Now if they can get past this bridge, this is basically home free. Third point, a lot harder to contend with.
Man, I see why they call him Slam Town now, just putting on the pressure relentless, only having to use 2 ults there as well to win that fight. We see Ragu popping the ult here as well. Velcon has one on deck. Johnny not very far away from the Lucio ult out as well. So I feel like, you know, the Vikings have done a little bit better job on these ult management as well.
Hear the sound cue. That is going to be Velcon popping the ult, looking for something with the Dragon Blade here, picking off 2 members with the assistance of their team. Pirates going to also lose Takashi Doc, so down to basically nobody. They are in fact going to give this point up, and now the question is, can they mount one last desperate defense to stop everything from falling apart? A full 4 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock for the final shove from the Vikings means that they're easily able to put up an almost unbeatable record here, and Pirates can't find their footing.
Yeah, I feel like they really haven't stumbled at all, been playing nearly flawless as they continue this push forward, and we need to see some type of stance here from the Pirates because they need to slow them down if they want to give themselves a fighting chance in that second half of this map. But we do see Ramatra has the Annihilation on deck, and I gotta say that's probably one of the most perfect names for that all because it can annihilate the competition. But we see Ragu, Zev both finding trades back and forth. Karma's gonna find the tank here as well, and that could be the help that the Pirates need.
Yeah, morphine time is down. That being said, they will have their ultimate available very soon after respawning, and the Reinhardt can make it back pretty quickly with the rocket boost. So let's see whether or not Blue Squad can completely jump on top of this payload and create a bulwark that the Vikings will struggle to get past. Good poke, good picks coming out from Takashi Daka and the like, and that is the start to something brilliant right there. With multiple people dying, you're kind of getting this chaining style where Vikings cannot rally all 5 at once to push back upon the payload. Now, stuck back outside for the first time in a while. We're seeing Sunlight here getting the tan going. Widowmaker quite harried right now. Unfortunately, Zev was too worryingly low to actually be able to land a killing blow. Has to use the rewind for the time being. Ragu has their ultimate available again, but right now it is big ult ball for Pirates to continue to try to keep this hold. Lucio around the corner, gonna use the beat drop, trying to save morphine time for the time being. Ultimate already used by the Reinhardt. Not a whole lot of effect. It's going to be countered quite nicely by Troll Hunter popping the Annihilation to stop the rest of the red team from playing Smash Mouth right now. And look at the turnaround, able to knock down morphine time, but Lily Sorix and Karma are already dead, and with the worryingly low health bars coming through for the Pirates, they need to find a way to start rolling backwards and finding a new angle. Unfortunately, they will be denied that opportunity. Sane going to help land a killing blow for Slamtown. Now it's May still on top of this payload, preventing the push from going forward here, using the icicle to buy a bit of time. We're getting a swap now over to the Doomfist from morphine time to continue to play aggressive. Now on top of the May, one more melee will do you. They're gonna take them down, and with one final push between them and Glory, with 3 members of Pirates dead, I think Vikings have one of this in the bag.
Yeah, it's been tough. Pirates just not able to get a lot of value out of those ults. The Blizzard, we saw Lily, the Juno pop the ult and instantly die. Now Ramatra, Zev both going down. Karma still has the window to be used, but unfortunately, is it too little too late? Because, I mean, Pirates were able to stop the Vikings, but only for a moment as they continue to be that stampede, that Mastodon infantry pushing in now the contention. 1.21 to go. Karma, Lily both falling here as the members begin to dwindle. The Vikings, Slamtown looking to slam it on in and finish this one off, but because of that close spawn, the Pirates are not ready to go silently into the night.
Troll Hunter 9 will fall though, and that'll be enough for that last 1.21 meter shove. And so Vikings take it with 1 minute 49 seconds on the clock. Certainly still tough to beat here, Hot Sauce, but compared to what we saw moving into that third point, you gotta hand it to the Pirates. They brought that back from the brink.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I was expecting them. They really didn't seem to have any issues pushing at all, and I was getting a little bit worried when we saw that 4:45 left on the clock. So they're still able to get to that final destination, but you're absolutely right. Hats off to Pirates for buckling down in those final few moments, really making a tough stand and kind of buying a lot of time off that clock. So 149, yeah, it's tough, but it's certainly something that is still very feasible.
So now as we swap sides, and we will have the Vikings on attack. Question is, are they going to use a different strategy from what we saw out of the Pirates? What right now we're seeing is the continued centralization upon, I think, some of the comfort characters. Morphine Time has swapped over to the Sigma for defense here, but Johnny Yakuza is right back over to the Lucio here, rocking that jazzy skin. You know that this is someone that's a little bit of a character loyalist.
Hey, well, I love to see it as we get ready to set up and prepare for these defenses. It'll be interesting to see if they opt to go with that same strategy that the opposing team did, or if they're going to get a little far forward here as we see them breaking some of those barriers, kind of getting set up, and it does appear that they might be playing from this bridge here. The swap to Sigma as well, which I personally love.
Yeah, the Sigma I think is a really good call here. That being said, I do wonder where exactly they're going to play from, and if this call to play a little bit further up, as we were discussing in that first round, will actually pay off, because like I said, one person falls, all of a sudden your whole team can be dead. And especially with something like Morphing Time on the Sigma, there's not really much in the way of escape for this character. Very immobile, caught up inside of the death room right now. Let's see who's going to come out on top. Literally, Sorex already picked off. Takashi Doc goes down as well, and Karma is going to fall as the 3-piece comes through. Troll Hunter now gone. Zev, the last one left alive. It looks like the plan's paying off.
Yeah, Sigma just absolutely destroying, and they're finding 2, maybe even 3 amongst the mix. Zev is going to fall here to Ragu as well, and unfortunately that's tough because you kind of create a little bit of a stagger there as well. Takashi already up into the battle without Zev, and I feel like they just need a chance to, you know, they don't have a far walk from that spawn, so just go ahead and regroup while you still have time.
Now, Hot Sauce, I know that you play quite a bit of Sigma. I think I've seen them a lot on your streams whenever you were jamming this game. So my question to you is, what exactly can we see the Pirates pull out here to try to turn around fortunes? Or right now, especially with the ult charts that the Sigma's developing, is this going to be something that's almost impossible to get by, as they're going to pick off Lou Sorex?
Hey, I like to think nobody can touch my Sigma, but we all know that that's not true here. I mean, we see them kind of sweeping up comps. I don't know about Zarya. I feel like, especially against the comp that they're going on, there's not a lot of damage to be eaten up with that bubble, unfortunately, as we see Morphin Time Ragu just cleaning up at the moment. Lily, the only one left alive. So I think this swap to Orisa could absolutely be huge for them. We see Zeb going to the Ashe as well, so they could potentially get some more value with this Junkrat as well. But unfortunately for them, the time is beginning to dwindle away.
And you get into this fatalist mindset in a lot of cases where if on this first point you aren't getting the same rapidity of capture that you saw out of the enemy team, you're thinking, oh, it's over. They had so much time pushing to the third point. We're only going to have a fraction of that pushing into the second point. So what's the hope? But you've got to lock in. You've got to hope that you can take this to overtime here and now. But the question is, how do you start that process? Zev once again getting poked low. Here comes the Venture looking for an angle on the backline. Orisa going to call them out, forcing Velcon slightly back. Here comes the Blizzard being dropped by Ragu. What are the picks going to be? 3 in a row, and it looks like once again the Vikings will hold strong.
Ragu with a beautiful 3K to lock it down. Velcon, who's absolutely playing lights out as well on this venture and had a heck of a game in the first half on Genji. So it's great to see so many of these players being able to play multiple different characters here as well. Just kind of really showcasing some of the skills that they have to offer.
Sigma ult and the Lucio ult still available here. So even if we do see them seed this frontal bridge that Pirates have not proven that they're able to get past, there's still plenty of defensive ults here available for the red team to shut down the advance of Pirates, but they may not even need them. Zev has died yet again. Karma is worryingly low, going to have to retreat and find a recovery position. And even this flank going to be called out with the gravity slam like I'm talking about. And that's Morphine time with all the healing at his back, able to play right up in the face of Troll Hunter 9. And in the tank v tank matchup, the Sigma will come out on top.
Yeah, gotta let that melody sing. I was wondering if he was going to hold it until those final moments. You can lift people up off the point, and if it's in overtime, and easily take the game that way as well. But he saw a good opportunity, capitalized on it as well, and his team was really able to benefit from that ult, getting a ton of value there. We see Sane has the ult on deck and ready to flex as well. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, there are a few characters getting dangerously close, as well as Juno has theirs on deck.
That being said, not a whole lot of time left and available for the side of the Pirates to make a mark here. Zeb, once again, taking solo. They're just going to have to go on the retreat. And Lily Sorix, with the ult in their back pocket, is going to be denied. That is the last push, and that'll be Vikings coming on top with the first map.
20-player kill streak on your screen there for Morphin Time on that Sigma. And what a performance by this crew here. Play of the game, Ragu, most likely coming off that Blizzard.
Yeah, let's see if that's in fact what it's going to be. Yep, already dropped, and you see how much space control in a tight choke point like that this ultimate provides. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them return to this May for future maps.
Oh, absolutely devastating. I mean, they show you they have the ability to be up in your face to slow those tank downs, but at the same time, just snipe with that right click from a distance, finding huge picks. And again, I think, you know, Slamtown, they just had a lot more value out of their ults as well. It seemed like almost every time they were getting great value. Meanwhile, on the Pirate side, they were kind of maybe holding on to them a little bit too long, waiting for that right opportunity. We saw them often dying with 3 or 4 ults and having to come back. So I think just some minute adjustments from the Pirates can certainly turn things around. They're still certainly capable of taking Escort away from them.
Yeah, you got to take it map by map. You got to take it play by play, Hot Sauce. And honestly, so far, we have seen points in time throughout the course of that first game where, in fact, I believe that the Pirates showed some strengths. It's just a matter of translating that to a point in the game where you don't feel like there is this mountain to climb, as was the case with that first map. By the third point, they had brought it together, but once they were on offense and the ball was in their court, they just could not land that killing blow necessary to start things rolling in their favor. So as we move over to Escort, what I will note is that the boon to the Pirates in this context is that there no longer is that kind of bottleneck or that dam that you need to break past, right? You're constantly on the same goal of pushing forward this payload, right? And given that that is the case, I believe that what we could be seeing out of them is a little bit more consistency. Maybe even if 1 or 2 people are getting picked off time and time again, as long as they're able to space control and stay firmly planted on the point, what could happen is that they still are able to get forward progress. Unlike in the case here, where if you can't get to the point, there's no progress to be made at all.
Yeah, you know, you're right. I mean, we saw a lot of moments of greatness from the Pirates. Unfortunately, as we always say, consistency is key, and the Vikings were just consistently hammering it down. So, again, I think they just got to get a little more value out of those ults, try to work on that together, whether it's team communication or not. But you made a great point as well. They don't have to unlock that payload. So they have the ability to kind of push, also use that to hide behind and kind of work around. And again, I feel like the Vikings just did a little bit better because their comp was a little bit more brawly with that speed as well. The ability to kind of get in and get out, use that ebb and flow of Overwatch, and just capitalize on every opportunity that was in front of them.
You know, speaking of that speed, a lot of people, once the Juno came out, was saying, finally, this is the last nail in the coffin. Lucio is officially dead, but I'm happy to report you can just play both of them, guys, right? It's a team game. And so given that that's the case, we saw that actually as the first comp that was being pulled out here by the side of the Vikings, and I think that that could be something that they continue to lock back in. As I said before, I'm pretty sure that good old Jay Yakuza over there is probably going to be jamming very little else besides the Lucio throughout the course of this. And what's good is that there's people like that at the pro level of Overwatch who are specialists in this character, so I don't think that that is necessarily a detriment to their side. Now the question is, though, what could the response be coming out of the Pirates? What are some ways that, knowing that you already have this quantity up there in the support role, going to be picked every single time, what can you do? I was thinking maybe something like a Moira here. Go aggressive, harass that Lucio, force them away from the rest of the team could be the angle.
Yeah, I love that you said that because even though I used to play a lot of Sigma, I'm kind of a Moira main at the moment. So I think you're absolutely right. There's some verticality here too. This first choke point is kind of rough for some teams. D.Va has had a lot of success pushing on this map as well. So again, it'll be interesting to see if they're going for those comfortable picks or something that works a little bit better here on Gibraltar. I think they have to look out for Velcon as well. I mean, we talked about Ragu doing very well on that Mei, but we see Velcon just destroy on the Genji, then swap over to the Venture and have a lot of success as well. So the whole crew right now seems to be firing on all cylinders. I'd love to see Pirates find a way to slow them down a little bit because I'm a fan of Overwatch, and I'd love to head to map 3.
Well, Hot Sauce, one thing to note is that we are actually getting a little bit of a roster swap here on the side of the Vikings. They're actually taking my Lucio main away from me, so I won't be able to cast my favorite character. Instead, they say, Ruby, get in there. You play a wider champion pool. That's what we need right now. We're going to put you on the Life Weaver, which is interesting to see alongside the Brigitte, two main healers, I believe. Not a whole lot of burst healing is a way to get people out of real sticky situations outside of Life Weaver yanks. So that could be something that we see the side of the Pirates try to exploit.
Yeah, I think that they're going to maybe use Brigitte to kind of be that little more of the front line with that shield, kind of eat up some of that damage while they allow Doomfist to jump around on the back line and just throw bows. But Velcon, I said you got to find a way to slow him down, but it doesn't look like he's happening. Encrypted, the first to fall. It gives them the player advantage, and right now, they're just kind of sitting with ease. We see the Doomfist jump in, slam him down the fist. Is it enough? Backing off to safety, Sane dangerously low, but Velcon, Ragu, and now Velcon just absolutely cleaning up.
Full head of steam for the Vikings coming off of that first map, and they want to show utter domination for a second time running here on defense. That was a heartbreaking way to start things. Encrypted trying to go for the cheese. Velcon right on top of them, bogarts them into the corner and beats the Reaper down. Takashi Doc dead as well. Staggered formation for the blue squad means that you're going to continue to see Vikings take to the sky up here in the rafters, looking for one more angle. So deep of a pusher from the Pirates could come back to bite them as they're all currently in this room, but that does look like an angle by which, while this is happening, the payload is actually now under the bridge.
Yeah, you got to be careful getting caught out. You don't want to stagger in and give your team a little bit more of a difficult time. We see Encrypted, Lily, now Karma falling, so Zev and Takashi all alone, and the crew being relentless. Zev will find one on the Sane as he continues to try to fight for it, but the pressure too much. Ragu sniping down a hailstorm of bullets, will find two, and the first checkpoint will be gathered here. I got to tell you, the Vikings' confidence is just exuberating all over this battlefield.
Exuberating all over the battlefield. I got to use that verb a little bit more often here, Hot Sauce, because it is perfectly defining what's happening right now. We saw a 4-minute, 45-second timer going into the third point in that first game. Now we're seeing a 4-minute, 55-second timer moving on to the second point for the second game. And so given that that is the case right now, I really think that Vikings have so much lag time to play with, and I don't even think they're going to necessarily need it. Once again, it's Lily Sorex dying early on in a fight. This Kiriko needs to play deeper into the backline, but Velcon could still harry them off of these crucial points. Meanwhile, while that is happening, Ragu is going to get picked, and now that's both DPSs dead, so a bit of breathing room brought back for the Pirates. The question is, what are they going to do with it?
Yeah, unfortunately, Zev did fall in the mix. I like the swap to Winston to maybe try and give him a taste of that Doomfist-style medicine, but this Doomfist has just been relentless. And I gotta say, I've played against really good Doomfist, and I hate it. It's so annoying. It's one of those things that can also affect your mental when you're just screaming for help back there, but it's tough to deal with at times, especially when you have a talented player like Morphin Time on the Doom.
Only good thing right now for the Pirates regarding the Doomfist is that they aren't playing a map where there's a whole lot of cliffs here on the second point. You're just stuck in the warehouse, but you see whether or not that's even going to trip a Morphine Time. I don't think that they need the cliffs to get the kills. That's 3 members dead. Here comes the orbital bombardment being dropped down. Still not enough. Lily, Sorex, Takashi, Doc, and Zev all dead, and they're only going to trade it back for Ruby TK56 on the side of the Vikings, and so the red side push will continue in earnest.
Encrypted will swap to the Junker Rat here and look to get a little more value. Lily dangerously close with that Kitsune Rush as well, so maybe they can work off the back of some of these ults, but it's easier said than done because the Vikings have been playing absolutely lights out here as they continue to push this payload. The contention will come in right at the end. Winston has the ult here as well. Not sure if he's going to want to utilize it yet because Ragu, Velkin both finding picks. Karma does get a trade in the mix, but I think the damage has been done. Unfortunately, they're going to try to fight this one out on the point. The tree will come up as well, but Velcon doing some damage. Ruby in the background here as well. Winston just throwing fists. Doomfist jumping around and kind of biting Winston off of that payload, so the contention will stop and the second checkpoint will be grabbed.
Yeah, and Zev just unfortunately wasn't able to get a whole lot of value out of their ult because the rest of their team was wilting and falling beside them. You look at the comparative power of the Death Ball when you have something like Tree of Life available, and there's just not really a way for the Pirates to answer back. They don't have the tools necessary to do much more than delay the inevitable. And once again, we are ticking back above that 4-minute mark for the final push here. It's going to take a miracle, I think, at this point for the Pirates to stabilize. And if they can't do it here, Hot Sauce, you talked about what's at stake here. This is absolutely going to be a possible 2-0 in the cards for the Vikings, particularly if they're just going to slam multiple people inside of a choke point. As now it is Morphine Time looking for one more. Encrypted gets the lucky trap off. Morphine Time still able to hop away.
Yeah, Slamtown looking to slam it on home. The Meteor Strike will come down and find Takashi as well. We can see the grenades being lobbed in, but Morphin Time will pick up on the tank as well. And without those key members, it's going to spell trouble for the Pirates. It doesn't seem like the Vikings have stumbled at all on this push, playing nearly flawless for the entirety of these rounds so far.
And look at how deep Belcon is willing to go, particularly with the Life Weaver yoink at their back. They could basically go as deep as they want onto any characters on the blue squad team. And typically they're finding the eliminations off of a Dragon Blade available. One last parting slash to the auto will be enough to take Lily Sarx down. And now it's just Karma left alive, stuck inside of the base. And Morphine Time is right there with the Genji to put this one away. I called it a speed run for that game number 1, but Hot Sauce, that is redoubled here. What a brilliant showing from the Vikings, and what a mountain to climb for the Pirates.
Yeah, talk about a speed run. I mean, they just don't miss a beat, literally. And you know, unfortunately for the Pirates, it's been a tough show, but they're doing a good job of, you know, trying to keep that good middle, trying to buckle down and battle through. We saw some good swaps coming out from them as well, just trying different things to see if something else would work. But unfortunately, they just haven't been able to crack this vault that has been Slamtown.
And I actually don't know if, given my experience in this game, I could give you a very quick and concise explanation as to how to beat the Vikings. They got kind of a watertight game plan here. Morphing Time buys so much space. You think he's Walt Disney trying to purchase the Disney swamp, right? Like, it's crazy out there. And now we're seeing that swap right back to his defensive side of the Champion Ocean that he's showing here, grabbing the Sigma now, and we saw him basically put a complete stop on any forward momentum there in game number 1 with this character. Let's see what happens the second time round.
Yeah, from the Brawly Doomfist now to the Sigma, certainly just showcasing all the skills of the different characters they can play. Ragu back on the Widow here. Velcon certainly extremely comfortable on the Genji, and I think you nailed it. Just feeling extra comfortable with that Life Weaver in the background, able to just snatch him on back home. Of course, saying on the Ana here as well. And you know, I don't know if they know they picked Roadhog, but this is certainly a great pick for Sane as well.
Well, Zev gonna immediately look for a hook to grab one of the squishier members of the Vikings out of position. Ragu can be met with a face full of shrapnel, but manages to reposition to a new life before being taken down here. We do see slight movement on the payload to start things off. This isn't quite as aggressive of as a positioning that we saw out of the Vikings in game number 1 with A-Rod's defense. Instead, they're going to be taking to this backline right here, looking for a big angle. We see someone trying to go on the flank here. Unfortunately, Encrypted, already incredibly low, is going to be sent plummeted down the rocks of Gibraltar. That is not a good way to start things off, particularly as Zev is now going to be de-healed, and actually is going to pop their pot here. Warring situation, finally gets healed back up, but has a Genji right on top of him, continuing to take down this health bar. Will eventually put Zev into the grave, and once again it is Vikings out on top of this first skirmish.
Yeah, they're just looking like they might be the team to beat this season, playing near perfect here as Velcon is going to find Takashi as well. And unfortunate for the Pirates, they just haven't been able to get too much pressure out here in that backlines. More specifically, Zev unfortunately really hasn't been able to hit those hooks either, and I'd love to see him be able to snatch up one of these squishies, find an early pick and give him the advantage, but it's not gonna happen. Morphin Time will take out Zev yet again, and Slamtown is just slamming through.
And Ragu gets a nice highlight play there. Big headshot, immediately deleting Encrypted off the map. And one of the dynamics here to note regarding the fact that you have the Widowmaker on your team is that if someone else is able to get a single pick onto the blue side, now the Vikings have the ability for this Widowmaker to play more of aggro. They don't need to continue to crouch and hide behind a ton of coverage because they know there's only so many different places the offense can come from. That being said, Ragu has gotten picked now, and so as we see Takashi Dock and company come back up, this is the first time that Pirates will have a man advantage for a while, given how far away from the spawn the Vikings are.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, Sigma has the ult and can let the Melody sing. Ruby not far behind with the tree as well. Velkan dangerously close as well, so they should be able to just fall back, eat up a little time. And now the Blizzard here on deck, chilling in the Ice Cube, looking for some success. No real value just yet. Ragu popping the ult here early, and Velkan will find Encrypted. Velkan is just going absolutely nuts.
And absolutely Morphine Time wants to get in on that action, popping the ultimate, knocking out Lily Sorex. And while we do see Zev get out of that situation and moving down here into this basement area, what is happening in kind is that even without Ragu available, once again the Vikings are able to continue to redouble their efforts. Ruby 2K56 dropping the Tree of Life down here means that's very difficult for Pirates to approach and take an even fight, and that means it's going to be 3 members of Blue Squad once again going down. Morphine Time continuing to push people back towards the base. Encrypted is swapped over to the Hanzo of all things, and I'm not really sure what this is going to do here, given that they're perpetually on low ground.
Yeah, you know, maybe just hoping for a headshot on one of these Genjis or something to kind of give him that pick. But honestly, the Vikings have just done a great job at the ult economy, staggering them out. Almost one person has an ult at any given time. We see Velkan with it there. Sigma has just used their ult and already back to 82%. They are just making a standstill here, and it's been really tough for the Pirates to break through.
Absolutely, and we're at that point once again where even though you got 30 seconds with which to lock in and make something happen, it kind of feels like it's over. You're already going to be put to overtime on the first point, and really, how in the world are you going to struggle through 2 more of these things? And that's barring a win here. Let's see if they can do it. Multiple ults available now for the side of the Pirates. 60 seconds on the clock, though, and unfortunately, Zev and Lily Sarks have been taken down for what I believe to be the last time. Takashi Doc going to follow, and I'm going to call it here, Hot Sauce. 5 seconds on the clock. The Vikings have taken it 2-0.
Yeah, unfortunately, the whole hog would just never get to come out. Velkan up in the face again, just keeping them at bay. And with that, Slamtown will take it 2-0 fashion. And just what a phenomenal performance by the Vikings.
You know, Hot Sauce, I was going to say, the name Slamtown, I don't know, that's a bit presumptuous. What's going to happen if you get slammed? But clearly, that is a question that will not be answered this week. What utter domination coming out of the SHS Vikings as they take down the Rogers Pirates.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. Like, we saw a lot of moments of greatness from the Pirates. Unfortunately, things didn't go their way, but that's what's great about VOD review. You can kind of go back as a team, sit down as a cohesive unit, and just check over what happened. What did we do wrong here? What could we do differently maybe to change the outcome of some of these fights? Was it bad positioning? Was it bad ult economy? You know, and so I think VOD review could go a long way for the Pirates. I expect them to come out even hungrier next week to bounce back from this, but if I'm the other teams in this league, I'm taking note of Slamtown. I'm looking at what they're doing, and I'm trying to figure out, how do I combat this?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the answer is. I think that in a lot of cases here was unfortunately just a matter of mechanics overriding any possible game plan you could have if you as players are just less practiced in the game of Overwatch, Hot Sauce. And so given that that is the case, I'm really hoping that we got some Titans waiting in the wings here in Wasia that'll be able to take it to the likes of Slamtown here and really bring us some incredible matches as we forge deeper on in the season.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's another fun part about watching these teams throughout the regular season as well, is because a lot of these teams you really get to see to grow and develop that team synergy as week in and week out goes on, and they prepare for that postseason run as well. So I like to think it's not the last we're going to see of the Pirates. I like to believe that they're going to bounce back. They had a lot of good compositions, but again, I felt like there were just times where they were staggering out a little bit, not getting as much value from the ults as they wanted. But, you know, those things do happen from time to time.
Yeah, Hot Sauce, you think about this from the student's perspective, right? We're in the middle of the beginning of the high school year, in a way. You know, you just got back to school about a month ago or so, and now you're saying, hey, go play and represent your school at a national level on a national broadcast for a game like Overwatch. This is not exactly something that a lot of people are going into high school thinking that they're going to do. I think maybe shifting a little bit more now as esports is getting more accepted, and Wasia is a huge part about that, right? But I can tell you, back in my day, I wouldn't have even thought that this was a possibility, and therefore if someone told me, hey, get in there, show your Lucio off to the world, I'd be a little bit nervous. But clearly I think the Vikings have overcome that, and Pirates are well on their way to doing so as well, you know, and balancing that alongside all their schoolwork and personal stuff. It's very impressive what they showed here today.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It makes me that much more excited to see how things pan out through the rest of the regular season. I was hoping for a little more Overwatch. Unfortunately, that is going to be all for us today. A huge shout out to Nyarko here. You can see the tag below the names as well. We'd love for you to come check us out. Special thanks to ZOTAC as well, and LANFest, of course. We'd like to take a moment to thank everybody behind the scenes as well here. Taylor helping us run a smooth show. And we certainly want to thank each and every one of you at home, whether it's the teachers, the parents, the students. None of this would be possible without you. So we certainly appreciate you guys showing up, showing out, and showing your support. But that will be all for us today. We hope to see you back here tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific for some Street Fighter 6. Take care and have a wonderful evening, everyone.